Hello. We're going to talk about revision because you've gotten back your summary paper by now, and the revision of your summary paper is the only required revision that you have to do for this class. If you are unhappy with your grade or you just feel confident that you can do much better on a paper that you turn in for the next couple weeks, then you can do a revision of those, but the process will be the same as this one. So I'll show you what the paper should look like when you get it back and how you can see my comments. And I'll also show you my process, which you won't see, but you'll understand how I can visually compare your first paper and then the one that you do revise and turn back in, and what I'll be looking for. So when you get your paper back, the view should look like this. You should see some comments off to the side. I've just put in filler language for this example, but it will have some highlighted parts of your text and then a comment about basically whether that was good or whether it needs to be improved. And I've made a lot of comments on this first paper because I know that you're going to revise it. On the times when I don't know if you're going to revise it or not, I'll have some things in mind that I could say, but I won't take the time to do all of them, because if you're not going to revise it, then you'll probably look at the grade and be satisfied with it or not. If you're not, you can contact me and I'll give you more comments to work with. So anyway, being able to see these marginal comments is the thing that we're really testing out on this first assignment. Also, I'll just skip ahead to the end. So there will be an end comment that summarizes the marginal comments. In this example, and I won't ever be this harsh, but I've said, Stephanie, to the student, this makes no sense to summarize my marginal comments, blah, 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 and then there may be as many as 4 items that I list below that, but usually less than 4. So what I'm doing there is when I read your paper, as I'm reading, I'm making comments. They're to you, but sometimes they're also to myself to remind me of, oh, they did these things really well, so I want to praise that in the end comment. Or I can start to see a pattern forming where they still need to work on quotation or integrating them into their sentences, something like that. And so the patterns and the more important things that I notice, I call your attention to those in this end comment. But I expect you to read the marginal comments, but then I try to make more sense of them at the end. So you really should be reading them together. What's at the side of your page, and also what appears at the bottom. So that's how those two different types of comments should be read together. Okay. The second view is of a paper that's been revised and turned back to me. So you can see on this example, my original comments are the little balloons that appear in green. So those will still appear on your paper once you've turned it in. So I can see what I originally said and kind of see if you did anything about that. But also, what's different about this document is that your original submission, so your summary paper, has been merged using Microsoft Word's Merge Documents feature with your revision. And so the new document that I can see turns colors, basically. And I look for a lot of colors in this revised document. You can see on the example that the date has been changed. So it went from February 6th to February 14th. I'm sorry, February 4th to February 14th. And the new text appears in blue. It's not off to the side. It's the blue text that is actually in the paper. So I'm looking for a lot of new colors in the paper that you give me. That will mean that there's substantial revision that's happened, and so I can look at the quality of that revision, not only the quantity, but also the quality, and see if they are actual good changes once you submit the paper a second time. What Microsoft Word also tells me is if you've just moved things around. So sometimes this can be a very beneficial change, especially if I've said something like, you should work on your organization. You might have a quotation that's about one topic in one paragraph, and it needs to be moved up or down to go with the other statements you make about that topic. So the blue balloon in this case is pointing to some underlined green text or blue text. I'm not sure what color that looks like to you. It's just said that this has been inserted. It's moved, and that it's inserted at a different place. So I haven't had this happen too many times, but some people, they know that I'm looking for a lot of change as far as quantity to the document, and so they might just move things around in the document. But I can tell, because Microsoft Word helps me out, if it's simply been moved or if it has been changed. And that's the end of the document. So hopefully you can visually see what I'm going to be looking for once you submit your revision to me. I'm going to be looking for lots of changes, not only in quantity, and as far as quantity goes, I'm looking for at least a quarter or so of the paper to be different, but I'll also be evaluating the quality of those changes. Something that may be different in this class and going through this experience of revision, you may not have experienced this before, but if you do a very good job on your summary paper, let's say you make an A, I will still ask you to revise substantially. And this, it may not be for the sake of the paper becoming better because it was already good, but you can't just rest on your laurels and be happy with the first thing that you did, because learning to take feedback and constructive criticism and then revise according to what someone else says is one of the most important skills you can take with you out of your writing class. I know this from experience of my own, having talked to editors, having written a story for a magazine, and then the editor saying, oh, we changed the focus, we want you to do it this way now. Not that the story that I wrote was bad, it's just that they want it to be different for some reason. My sister is also a professional writer. She writes grants that they try to raise money for the Chicago Shakespeare Theater in Chicago. And she said something that she really didn't get a lot of practice in her writing classes in college was taking feedback and revising according to that feedback, not just whether she thought she originally did a good job or not. It could be kind of humbling, but it's a good just emotional or psychological experience to have in a writing class. So be prepared. If you've done a really good job on the first summary, great, but you can always make it better, or at least you can always change it and still have it be a good product. So what I've done in some of your cases is asked you to either shorten it substantially or lengthen it substantially. And so you should then have to make the choices of what can I cut out and still have it be a good summary, or where can I lengthen and not just add fluff or filler, but add more detail, add more evidence, add more quotations, explain what I have a little bit more. So think carefully about how you want to make those changes, which can be in some ways a little bit more difficult than if you really missed the mark on something the first time you wrote the paper, and then it's clear that you've missed the mark, and so you need to really improve based on what we've done in class, and that's the kind of revision that you need to do. So either way, if you made an A on the first submission or if you made a D, I'll be looking for lots of colors when I merge your first submission and your second submission. So after this revision, you don't have to do it anymore, but you can use it to improve your grade and to improve your writing style. So I will see you in the next presentation, and good luck in your revision.